or you might have encountered the things of handling the multiple managers at one point of time, and then how you cope with it, and any advices and solutions for the people who are working in EY.
I think people in EY are very smart, so they don't really need advice. I think I've never really dealt with multiple managers. Yeah, there are many projects in which you have multiple teams probably working together. So when you have that, I think invariably you look for someone who will take a leadership role, which means some sort of a team lead. It's not really leadership in the sense that they're the boss, but we tend to have that. It's pretty normal for human beings to just tend to fall down and say, okay, I'm the boss, everybody else report to me. So the challenge is about maintaining the balance and giving enough space for people's creativity, people's imagination, as well as them trying to do the right thing. So when you have things like, so let me give you an example. If you have a team which is from indirect tax, corporate tax, or transaction tax, working together on anything, so you will always have a funnel and a line of people working together. So cross collaboration, so you have two lines up and down, and then you have to have multiple people talking to each other. So that becomes interesting. So that gives us, or that gives the team at least, the ability to come up with interesting ideas. But having said that, I think the challenge is when you have multiple people, what tends to fall down through the cracks is cross communication. So invariably, if you're a team lead trying to manage multiple teams, it becomes your responsibility and in some sense to make sure that you are also acting as a communication channel and making sure that there is enough communication. So I think one of the things that we would encourage, and I personally feel is much more important, is before you kickstart a project, it's important for all the teams in the project to get together in one place. Now it's an ideal situation. I rarely see it happen. So I would think that if all teams sat down before starting the project to sit down and say, okay, here's the role, here's the scope, here is our objective. So can we divide the work and come up with a plan on how we're going to execute the project? Then it makes sense. But that probably runs true only in very large scale projects, which is spanning over next 3 months, some complex restructuring, or maybe a complex pitch. On a day-to-day basis, there aren't multiple cross linkages. So on a day-to-day basis, I think I have a lot of people who come back and work with me on different clients. Like I have a portfolio of clients, not all my clients are with one manager, right? So I'll have 4 or 5 managers, some directors, some senior managers, working back with me to say on specific accounts. So I think if I were to put an ask as opposed to anything else, is that they being mindful of the fact that I have multiple clients to handle. So it's not just that manager's client is the only priority I have. I have multiple, so they need to respect that and also try and see how they can allocate my time. So in some sense, I'm a resource for them. I'm not really their boss, or I'm not the guy who's supervising them. But in some sense, I'm a resource where they need my time to look at things, review things, or sign off on things. So if you tend to respect that, then it makes it easier. The same holds true for me, that when I have a manager, it's not necessarily that the person is working only with me and his entire portfolio clients are only with me. It's very likely that the person
some clashes in the deliverables also.
Yeah. So every person is probably working with at least at any given point in time with 2 or 3 partners, and on diverse clients with different objectives, and each client will have a different stage of fire and priority. So then it's really up to them to see how they balance the time and how they allocate the time and the responsibility and the prioritization. So for me, my work is priority. Same holds true for you. So
if you got 2 works at priority, then
if you have 2 works at priority, I think it's invariably sensible to leave some and make your own judgment call. What makes sense for someone else to take lead on. So there are some times when I have a clash. So for example, I'm invited to a conference call with a client and same time there's a meeting request. So I have to make a choice. What is more important? Not that either is less important, but yeah, you make a choice. You make a choice and you make a conscious choice. I think that's all that you can do. But it's important for the teams to be well oiled. So if I'm there and there's a manager, then someone is able to step in. I think that's probably more important for people to be able to step into those shoes and say, okay, I'll take lead here for the time being, fine, because I know you have other commitments.
I think it's basically the application of mind and gelling with your team, which makes people to take the decision to prioritize their work and manage their multiple managers and multiple projects. Basically.
Sure. No, fair. So I think that's how I would see it.
So if you have a dialogue with your managers, either one of the manager or multiple managers, and then take the call how to prioritize your work and what deliverable should have to go. So one can take action accordingly and then can help and make their managers happy and their clients happy.
So in a utopian world, in a very clinical environment, bit like an operation theatre, if everything was perfect, I agree with your view that one can sit down and have a dialogue. But I think it invariably
or
is
a cup of coffee.
Yeah, but that is not true. I think it starts with someone's tempers being flared up. So someone gets angry and starts shouting, saying, "Why the hell haven't you done something?"
Yeah.
Someone is sarcastic and says, "I know you have other priorities in life." so that's fine. I think it's all in good humor. I think you just need to know when to talk to people.
When they're at a good mood and then.
Yeah, and it's not a one-way street. It's actually a two-way street.
Exactly.
Sometimes you can really rub off people.
Of course.
By getting them at the wrong time. So it's normal, and that happens at home too, right? So if you have a spouse, you will realize that not every time is a good time to make a joke. so you just need to be careful and conscious. Not diplomatic, but yeah, should be truthful. And I think if you have a clean heart and you have a clean head, why you're saying what you're saying and what your priorities, that's fine. It's about communicating. I think it's more about communicating. It's nothing to do with. There is no. I have not in my 20 years. I have not seen two people sit down and agree on a to-do list and trying to do that. I think that happens when you're trying to train people on what the work ethics and work culture is. One is each of us needs to realize that everybody knows that time is limited. It's a limited resource. And everybody values their own time, most importantly. And if they value their own time, there is no reason to believe that they don't value other people's time. So I am a firm believer that everybody realizes the importance of what they do. They realize the importance of it for their careers, for their development, for their growth, and for the growth of the team, for the growth of the firm. All of that is interlinked. I think most people who have met in EY are very aware and cognizant of this fact. So if that is a given, then there is no reason to believe that anybody is going to shy away from taking on the responsibilities. I think it's more incumbent upon people to realize it and empower people to make their own judgment call. So if they're responsible, then I'm sure they're accountable as well. So if I've given a task to someone, then I know I will be nervous till it is done. But it's probably best to hide that nervousness at my end and keep a brave face and say, what's the worst that can happen? That the task won't get done. What will that result in? Maybe a few flared up tempers, and then eventually you should have confidence that your team will shape up and do what is right. So I think trust. I trust my people, I trust people who I work with, and that's fine. I hope they trust me as much. so if they do trust me, I think they'll get the best of both worlds.
But sometimes you might face some adverse reactions also, right? While working with cross-functional teams.
Like, give me an example.
Like somebody is not ready to put in their efforts while working on the same project or working with other projects while reporting to their managers.
I think you're being presumptive. I would be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will be making a lot of assumptions. I think that's where that's the cardinal mistake that we make more often than not.
Yeah.
That we assume and we presume too many things.
Yeah.
So, if, for example, if I called up someone and said, okay, I would like to meet with you in the next half hour, and then the guy shows up after an hour, the first presumption is he doesn't value my time. So when he shows up after an hour, I say, you're late, so I don't have time. But that's natural behavior.
Yeah.
But I think if we are less presumptive and instead if we ask the question, what happened? I thought we were going to meet a little earlier, so is everything okay with you? And then automatically a lot of factual data will start appearing that, I got stuck in traffic jam and then this happened and that happened and then there was no parking, and so by the time I was struggling, and by the way, while trying to arrive in office, I was also trying to call you, and then I got a challan as well. And so you'll get a whole series of reasons and rationale for the delay. But that's okay. So I think people are true to themselves firstly, and if they are shying away from work, then they know that, so that's okay. They're not doing me a favor, and nor am I doing them a favor, to be frankly. And I think if people are responsible to themselves, then they're automatically responsible to their work, and if they're responsible to their work, they're responsible to their team.
Do you think managers think that their peers become vulnerable to other teams while working with them?
In a competitive environment, I think there will always be characters and personalities. So personality traits, I think most of us have gone through various kinds of soft skills training, and it tells us some attributes about our behavioral patterns.
Yeah.
So some are aggressive, some are passive, some are analytical. So these behaviors, if you know what your behaviors are, or have at least a sense, not that you can etch it in your head, but if you have some perspective on it, then it helps guide your actions. So yes, in a competitive environment, managers, partners, teams, all will always feel that competitive, I don't know whether I can use the word fear, but that competitive edge issue. So that spirit of competition will always be there.
Yeah.
So that drives people. There's no reason why it won't.
Yeah.
But I think collaboration is far more powerful than competition. So competition may be externally, but collaboration internally is what will drive success.
Yeah.
So you have to collaborate. To collaborate, you have to trust. And to trust first, you have to stop making assumptions. So if you just ask the right question, then you will get the right answer. Instead of making presumptive questions and analysis, just asking is a simpler solution. And that tells you the truth.
So let's sum this up, sir. Thanks a lot.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for